You're waiting for it, aren't you? That one sentence. Those 8 letters. I am sorry. You think that once they finally admit what they did, the weight will lift and you can finally move on. But here is the top secret truth that nobody wants to tell you. They might never say it. In fact, they might have already convinced themselves they were the victim. Today, we're talking about the apology you'll never get. I'm going to show you how to stop giving them the remote control to your happiness and how to manufacture your own closure, because your healing cannot be held hostage by their pride. This place you inhabit while you wait is what I call the waiting room of hell. It is a peculiar, disorienting space where time seems to warp and bend. You spend your days and nights on a continuous loop, replaying every painful detail, meticulously cataloguing each transgression, the perfect reply, the cutting reply, or perhaps the gracious reply. In this waiting room, you feel perpetually small. As long as you require their apology to feel a sense of resolution, you have handed them the reins to your emotional well-being. The door out of this room is not on their side. It has been on your side all along. Turn the knob and step through into your own life. The need for an apology is not a sign of weakness. It is a deeply human desire for acknowledgement and justice. When someone hurts us, the pain is twofold. There is the initial act of harm, and the secondary injury of that harm going unrecognized. An apology is meant to bridge that gap. It is a signal that the other person sees our pain. It is a signal that they accept responsibility for their role. It is a signal that they value the relationship enough to try to repair it. When that signal never comes, the silence itself becomes a new wound. This is the poison of the unspoken apology, a slow-acting toxin tethering you to the past. This unresolved state creates emotional and psychological limbo. Your mind becomes a courtroom where you are the sole prosecutor. You endlessly present evidence of the wrongdoing to a jury box that will forever remain empty. You try to win a case against an opponent who has long since left the building. This relentless mental effort depletes your resources, leaving you too exhausted to invest in your present or build your future. The world moves on, but you remain stuck, relitigating a closed case in your head. Waiting for an apology keeps you in a reactive posture. Your emotional state becomes a response to their action or their inaction. If they were to text, you would feel a surge of hope. If they post on social media, you might feel a pang of anger or sadness. Their silence dictates your emotional landscape. This dynamic robs you of your agency. Instead of being the protagonist of your own life, you become a secondary character, dependent on another's choices. True empowerment is shifting from reactive to proactive, from asking, "When will they fix this?" to asking, "How will I move forward regardless of what they do?" The irony is, they have likely moved on. While you are trapped in the amber of unresolved grief, they are often living their life, unburdened by the weight you carry. This is a bitter pill to swallow, but necessary. Your waiting does not punish them, it only punishes you. It is self-inflicted suffering born from a righteous, yet ultimately unhelpful desire for justice. The only way to stop the poison is to stop drinking it, to decide your well-being is too important to be left in their hands. To break free from the waiting room, it is crucial to understand why that apology might never arrive. It is rarely as simple as them being a bad person. More often, their inability to say "I'm sorry" is rooted in complex psychological armor. One of the most common barriers is their ego and the profound shame an admission would trigger. "I was wrong" becomes "I am bad," a confession the ego can't withstand. This isn't a conscious cruelty, it's a survival instinct. From their perspective, apologizing would open floodgates to a tidal wave of shame, a toxic, debilitating feeling they'll avoid at all costs. Therefore, they construct a fortress of denial, rationalization, blame shifting. They will minimize their actions, question your perception of events, or cast themselves as the true victim. It's about their internal battle to protect a fragile self-worth. Understanding this doesn't excuse them, but it demystifies their silence, letting you see it not as personal rejection, but as a symptom of their limitations. Another reason is their version of the story is dramatically different from yours. We're all unreliable narrators of our own lives. We filter events through biases, needs, and emotional states. They've likely rewritten what happened to make their actions look justified. They may believe their behavior was justified, that you were overreacting, or that they were provoked. They craft a story where they're not the villain. When two people hold fundamentally different stories about one event, an apology is almost impossible. From their view, apologizing would be a false confession to a crime they don't believe they committed. They aren't just refusing to apologize, they're refusing to adopt your reality. You're asking them to dismantle the entire story they've built. For most, that's too big a psychological leap, especially when staying silent is the easier path. Recognizing these patterns is the first step toward liberation. Section 5. The Top-Secret Closure Toolkit. An introduction. When you finally accept that an external apology may never materialize, you reclaim an immense amount of power. This acceptance is not an act of resignation. It is a declaration of self-reliance. It is the moment you decide that your healing will no longer be held hostage. Closure is robust, durable, and empowering, a structure you can build for yourself brick by brick. This is where you transition from a passive waiter to an active architect of your own peace. To help you in this construction process, I want to share what I call the Top-Secret Closure Toolkit. The name is a bit playful, but the tools within it are serious, practical, and deeply effective. These are straightforward, actionable steps designed to move you out of the waiting room and into a place of strength. They help you process the pain, reframe the situation, and formally close the chapter on your own terms. This toolkit empowers you to do for yourself what you were hoping someone else would do for you. Validate your experience, grant you permission to move on. The 4 core tools in this kit are the impact letter that you burn, accepting behavior as the apology, radical forgiveness for yourself, and the closure is an inside job rule. The first tool in your kit is the impact letter, but it comes with a critical instruction. You will never send it. This letter is for your eyes only. Find a quiet space, take a piece of paper, take a pen, write down everything. Do not hold back. Detail every action, every word, every silence that caused you pain. Describe the impact, how it made you feel, what it cost you, how it changed you. Use the rawest, most honest language you can find. This is not the time for politeness or restraint. Unleash the full storm of your grief, anger, and disappointment onto the page. Externalize the pain. Get it out of your head and onto the paper. Once you've emptied yourself, the second part begins. You must destroy the letter. Burn it safely in a sink. Burn it in a fire pit. Shred it into confetti. Tear it into tiny pieces and throw it away. The physical act of destruction is symbolic. Watching the paper burn or the shreds fall is a ceremony of release. You've spoken your truth. It's been heard by you. You are no longer carrying those words. The act severs the tie to needing them to listen. The second tool is learning to read the signs, accepting behavior as the apology or the final answer. When someone won't apologize with words, their actions or lack of action speak. If they've disappeared, their absence is a statement. If they repeat patterns of disrespect or neglect, that continuity is their response. Their failure to change, their refusal to engage, their ongoing silence. This is the unspoken apology. It is the clearest answer you'll get. It says, I am not capable of or willing to be the person you need me to be. I cannot or will not meet you here. Accepting this is not condoning them. It's being a realist. Believe what they show you, not what you wish they'd say. It's an act of self-respect. Stop waiting for a fantasy. Deal with the reality in front of you. Stop reading silence as a question mark. See it as a period. This shift frees you. Close the case with the evidence you have. Don't wait for a confession. Recognizing reality is relief, not resignation. You're ready for the next steps. Radical self-forgiveness and the inside job. Often, beneath the anger directed at the other person, there is a harsh current of self-blame. We become our own cruelest critic, tormenting ourselves with a relentless barrage of what-ifs and if-onlys. Why did I trust them? How could I have been so naive? Why did I stay for so long? What did I do to deserve this? These questions keep us locked in a cycle of shame, a pain even more corrosive than the original injury. You cannot fully heal the wound they inflicted until you stop inflicting new ones upon yourself. Offer yourself the same grace you'd offer a dear friend. Look back at the person you were with compassion. You made choices based on the information and emotional resources you had at that time. You loved, you hoped, you tried. Speak this forgiveness to yourself. I forgive myself for not knowing then what I know now. I forgive myself for the choices I made when I was trying to find love or safety. I did the best I could. This is not an excuse. It is an act of profound self-love that quiets the inner critic and creates space for genuine healing to begin. The final tool is the foundational principle that ties everything together. The closure is an inside job rule. Closure is not an event that happens to you. It is a decision that you make. It is a door that you choose to build, and then you choose to close, and then you choose to lock. You are the one who declares the case closed. You are the one who decides that the story is over. This does not mean you will never feel sad or angry about it again. Grief may still visit, but you are no longer sitting in the waiting room for a verdict. You have issued the verdict yourself. Making this decision is an act of power. Take the pen from their hand and write the final sentence of the chapter yourself. You might say aloud, "This chapter of my life is now over," while physically closing a book. Once you have worked through the toolkit, the next and most enduring phase of your closure project begins: living well. This is not about revenge, it is about reclamation. Thriving in the aftermath of being hurt is the most powerful and authentic response you can have. It is the quiet, undeniable proof that your life was never theirs to control, that your joy was never theirs to control, that your future was never theirs to control. Living well is not a performance for them. It is a commitment to yourself. Build a life so full and meaningful that the space they once occupied becomes insignificant. Consciously pivot your focus from the past to the future. Stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" Instead, start asking, "What will I do now for myself?" This new question is a key. It unlocks possibilities. It shifts your energy from grievance to growth, from rumination to action. Start small. Set one tiny, achievable goal that is purely for your own benefit. Take a 15-minute walk every morning. Sign up for an online class. Commit to cooking one healthy meal a day. Each goal you meet builds a new layer of self-trust and momentum. Fill the spaces they left with things that nourish your soul. Reconnect with friends who lift you up. Invest your time in hobbies that bring you accomplishment or joy. Gardening, painting, learning a new language. Do work that feels useful and important to you. This is how you build a life where they no longer have a seat at the table. If you are done waiting for an apology that's never coming, comment the word "release" below. Place it where you will see it every day. Let this word be your anchor. You are no longer waiting. You are releasing the past. Subscribe to keep building a life they no longer have a seat in. Next time, the 3-question loyalty test. The top secret way to know if they're truly all in.